Well, before we go to our wonderful author, Karen Moulder, who's wrote a book called Burning Barriers, How One Woman Defied the Odds and Became the First Female Firefighter in Her City, I want to just mention that Faith Farm, the thrift store you know about, the Great Bargain Hunt Friday, and it was yesterday and today, August the 9th and the 10th, up to 50% on all new furniture. You're going to be able to get off another 50% for all bric-a-bracs and up to 75% off pre-owned furniture. They're extending their hours from 9 to 8 today, so please get over there. You know where it is. 2 locations, Fort Lauderdale and Boynton Beach. That's Faith Farm Ministries. Okay, well, good morning, Karen. I guess it's still morning. I've been here since so early. Welcome to our show. You're calling in from where? New York?
Yeah, today I'm in New York. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being on our show. You're quite a woman, I must say. You've been through a lot. You know, you look at now, watch television, this woman had this happen to her, this woman had this happen, but you had a lot happening to you to be able to reach the heights that you did.
Yes, I did go through quite a bit, becoming the first female firefighter in Texas, in the town that I lived. A lot of obstacles to overcome.
Right. And really, what made you want to be a firefighter?
Well, I didn't have anybody in the family, and it wasn't a lifelong dream. It was me being a single mother and needing a job, and the fact that I was pretty much a tomboy growing up, I thought I would go and try for it, and because they were looking for women to join the department back then in '83. And so I decided to go for it, and I took the civil service exam along with 300 other people. I think only 30 passed at that time, so it was a big turnout.
Wow. So tell me the truth now, because I haven't been in a fire station, only seen it on television. Do they still have that yellow bar that you go down, you slide down?
The pole. I would say
pole?
Probably the older stations do. I'm not sure about any of the newer stations, but I know the one that I was in, yes. And to be woken up in the middle of the night and trying to get your bearings and slide down that pole, it's a little dangerous at times.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Well, and actually the whole idea of being a firefighter is dangerous. We don't think of that about that except when we see firemen dying from smoke inhalation and other serious consequences.
Yes, and we've actually had quite a bit die in a recent year. So, yeah, it is. And, you know, one of the things I always like to say is that, you know, a lot of people think of firemen as just sitting around in a firehouse, you know, just doing nothing. But if you think about it, you'd rather have a rested fireman show up at your house than someone who's exhausted.
Yeah, because you actually have to be on call day and night, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
I guess, but don't they have shifts? How do you work as a firefighter?
Each town is different. The town that I worked in, we worked a 24-hour shift, and then we were off for 48. So, you know, after hours, like 5 o'clock, we could, you know, go to sleep if we wanted to. During the day, it was like a normal work day, so we would either clean the station, cut the grass, or take care of the trucks.
It's something you don't know this, but when I saw that you did this in Brownsville, I actually lived in Huntsville, Texas, and went to school at Sam Houston State University. But we bought a condo down in South Padre Island, and that was right next to Brownsville.
Yes, it was. That was where we went to the beach.
Right. It was a beautiful beach. I mean, it was gorgeous, white sand, and yeah, that was a fun time for us. But anyway, getting back to you, the difference though for you and firefighters, other men, is that you actually had children.
Yes, I did. I when I started in the department, I had 2 children, and I was a single mother, and then eventually I had 3 more. So I have 5 kids.
Yeah, I know you do. You have 5 children. Actually, you have 2 grandchildren, and you now live in Massachusetts. Is that right?
Yeah, we all live in Massachusetts now.
But the whole time that you were in Texas and doing this really set you apart. And I know why did you decide to write the book?
Not really a writer per se, but every time I would tell stories about, my adventures in the fire department and all the things that I went through, people kept telling me, you got to write a book about this. The stories are just amazing. So I just finally decided to sit down and work it out.
Well, let's just talk a little bit about the chauvinism that you found yourself in with men. And you were the only female firefighter in your station, right?
Yes.
How was
Actually,
that?
Not just a station, the whole department.
The whole department. So tell me, and you're so beautiful, that must have been very difficult on them. How did they manage this?
Yeah, it was that and the wives weren't too happy.
Oh,
so.
The wives. I forgot about the wives. Oh, my goodness. Right.
Yes. I did have a lot of problems with it because I am small. I'm only 5'2", so having to do a lot of things that men normally do. I'm trying to think how to say this.
The physical aspects of being a firefighter.
Yeah,
so
it was a threat to them because I was doing the same job that they were doing as a man.
Right, and they couldn't believe that, right?
No, yeah, it was a threat on their manhood that, this tiny woman could do the same job that, they do. But it's not all about, bronze, or I would say, or physical. It's also how you use your brain and reason things out. For example, one of the guys was giving me a hard time because we have these big hard suction hoses that we use to take water out of like a lake or swimming pool or when we don't have water. And they're really huge and heavy, and they're like on top of the truck. And he's like, well, you can't take that off by yourself. And I was like, really? Watch me. So I climbed up on top of the truck, unclamped the hose, and kicked it to the ground. Then I dragged it to and connected it to the truck. He was just standing there looking at me like, yeah, that works.
And so they, there must have been some of them. I mean, I don't think all of them could have been that, kind of wary of you. Were there a few who really stuck up for you?
Yes, actually, there were quite a bit. I mean, it varied. I would have to say probably the older firemen were more threatened by it. I guess because of the old. Brotherhood and, man, this is a man's job type of thing. The newer, younger men were a little more, the ones that were less macho, ism with them. But I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. But
no, that's true. I understand that.
Yeah, but I think the older men were the ones that were more threatened and gave me a harder time than the younger ones. But I did have, a lot of them that stuck by me and stood behind me, especially after I showed that I could do the job.
Right. My guest is Karen Moulder. She's author of a book called Burning Barriers. It's our book of the month. As a matter of fact, if you've just gotten your August issue, you'll see her on the cover. And it's quite a book. I mean, for people who really wonder what goes on not only in a man's world with a woman, but in a firefighter's world with a woman. That's a whole different thing. You can order her book. You can go to authorhouse.com or amazon.com. And I'm Anita Finley, and you're listening, of course, to the Boomer Times, the Stars Show. And I wanted to just hear, what were some scary times that you as a firefighter, whether you're a woman or not, what is it like to be a firefighter?
It's really tough because fire is something that's, it's dangerous and it can get out of control, very difficult to control, and you never know what's going to happen. For example, one of the fires that I went to, it was an orchard fire, of orange trees that had been abandoned, and we were fighting it. It was pretty big because the whole orchard was on fire, and we were putting it out. and going pretty good. And then all of a sudden the wind shifted and it brought the fire up on top of us. And and I was on the front of the hose, and the lieutenant that was behind me, he yanked on the hose to pull me because he was a little further back, and he yanked and pulled it really hard to get me out of there. And when he did, it spun me around and my helmet fell off. And we just took off running back, away from the fire. When we went back to get my helmet, it was completely melted.
Oh, wow. See, we don't really understand the heat of a fire, do we? You
don't even think that, a grass fire or orchard fire or something like that is going to be that bad, but it is.
And I guess saving people, have you saved people in your experience?
I wouldn't say actually saved. I've been to a lot of fires where there have been deaths, I would have to say the first one that I ever went to was when I probably like a couple of shifts into, just coming on, first working. We went to a major fire downtown, and and when we pulled up, we were working, and I kept hearing like a moaning sound. And I told my officer, I hear somebody upstairs. I hear somebody up there. And he like gets a team and sends them in there, and they search the building that was above where it was on fire, and they didn't find anything. So they come back down, and so we continue fighting the fire. And again, I continue hearing this moaning sound, and I went to him again, and he's looking at me like, "You're crazy. You're hearing things." No, I hear somebody up there. So they sent another team in there, and sure enough, he was in there, but he was hiding between the mattress and the box spring, and they checked above and below, but they didn't check in between.
So you did really save a person with your ears really hearing and being sensitive.
Yeah, so it was an elderly man, and he was okay. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. And is there advice that you can give people as far as fires and what they should do and to prevent them?
The best advice I would give is just, don't think that everything is all right. Like if you have a fire outside, don't think it's all right to leave it uncontrolled. I'm not watched, because like last night we were sitting around a campfire, and the wood was just popping and throwing stuff outside of the pit. So you never know when something's like that is gonna happen. Same thing with cooking. My kids are really bad at that. They put something on the stove and then they go upstairs and forget about it. So just, simple things like that you think, oh, it's okay, it's going to be fine. Those are the things that usually cause the fires when you're letting your guard down.
And one thing that in your book was very, very interesting to read about, you're driving the fire engine. How much fun was that?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. Because I worked the first 5 years. I worked as a firefighter, going into the fires, and then because my career was 10 years, and the other 5 years I was a driver. I had to take a test and become a driver. That's a whole other story in itself. But yeah, I drove the largest truck in the department, and that was, if you've ever seen them, they're these big ladder trucks. The ones where they raise the ladders up to the, when they have multiple floors. And at first it's quite difficult to drive, but once you get used to it, it's fun. But the fun part is driving to a fire scene and watching people look and then go back and then take a double look, saying, "Oh, wow, there's a woman driving."
But these fire trucks are very long, and I mean, turning corners, and then you got your alarm on and you're going, and I just think it's even men. I mean, it's quite a feat to do that, and but you had to be trained, right? Yes,
we had to be trained in it, and like you said, the regular fire trucks are pretty long, but the aerial truck it's like driving a semi truck. It's very long, and a lot of people don't understand that when you're going to a fire, we have the right of way. Not the right of way. We can go through red lights to go to a scene, but we have to make sure the traffic is giving us the right of way. So that's why sometimes you'll see, a fire truck slow down at the intersection or an ambulance slow down at an intersection just to make sure it's clear and then go through the red lights. But it is scary at times because you never know when a car is going to come out of nowhere and slam into you.
Right. And, it's funny. I don't know what's happening to people, but I was always taught when their emergency vehicles pull over. But it's amazing how many people just don't do that. And, that is so wrong. I just wish people who are listening now, when you hear an emergency vehicle, don't, get in an accident, but everyone should be pulling over to leave that whole road open for them.
Yes. The only thing I can say about that is because now that I live in New England, in Texas we have shoulders on every road, so and we have center lanes. But in Massachusetts, up here in New England, there's few roads with shoulders, and so the best thing to do is if they're coming, if the lane is free, like if they're coming in the opposite direction and the lane's clear for them, you don't need to pull over. If the lane is not clear, that's when you need to pull over and give them, access.
That's very good advice.
You don't want to get in an accident. So if the lane is clear for them, then you don't really need to pull over. But if you feel safe for doing that, then go ahead and do that.
Okay, so the big question is, today, do we have a lot of female firefighters?
I believe so. Honestly, I don't know the number. I am proud to say that my daughter's best friend is a firefighter in Massachusetts. And I think that is the coolest thing, that she's got a friend that's a firefighter.
It is cool, because especially, what did your kids think about their mom being a firewoman, I guess. What do we call you? What did they call you? A firewoman?
Firefighter.
A firefighter, okay.
Yeah, I had to learn that too, because it was like fireman. I'm like, okay, no, firefighter.
Right, firefighter.
Yeah, my youngest son is the one that gives me the hardest time because, I haven't been in the department in a long time, and I'm getting up in years, and if I can't do something, he's like, but Mom, you're a firefighter. I'm like, I'm not a firefighter anymore.
Yeah, well, so you did do something, but you'd never made it into the Guinness Book of Records, I gather. No,
actually the first career female firefighter who made a career of it and was being paid by a department, as a career, came in, and this is in the entire world. She only came in 9 years ahead of me. So, it was still early on when women were trying to come into the department.
Right. Well, I know only from television that usually they don't show female firefighters. They always show female policemen or police women. And we've seen the hard time that many of them had at the very beginning. But I don't think there's ever been a story, has there? Except from your book. Your book's the first one that I remember hearing anything about a female firefighter.
Yeah, there's not too many stories. I think there was like a movie years ago that was made of one that came into the New York fire department. But yeah, there's really not too many stories about them.
Well, then that's why it was worth your writing the book. The book's called Burning Barriers: How One Woman Defied the Odds and Became the First Female Firefighter in Her City. Were your parents alive when you did this?
Yeah, my parents are still alive. They were excited but they were also scared, for me to be in there. And then writing the book, they're very proud.
They should be. So I guess this is mundane to talk about this, but okay, so you're in a man's world, and what happened when you had to go to the bathroom or take a shower?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I first came in the department, they told me, we're going to make all these changes to accommodate women being in the department. But The only thing, honestly, they changed when I came into the department, and they did it the day that I arrived, was to put a lock on the bathroom door. And then it wasn't like a regular lock. It was one of those little, those little hook latches.
Oh, right.
I was like, okay. But because the station that I worked at, the one with the pole, it was just it was 2-story, and then the top floor, the bottom was the garage with trucks, and then the top floor it was just this big open space with like about 20 beds, and there was nothing dividing them, so we all slept in the same room. The bathroom was like 3 stalls of everything, so that's what I came into.
And I've often wondered, do you all sleep with your clothes on, so in case you have to jump up and go to a fire?
Yes. They were supposed to issue us shorts and T-shirts to wear at night, but that never happened either. So I just slept in my clothes. Some of the guys slept in their underwear. They didn't care that I was there. But I just slept in my clothes, and what we do is we have our bunker gear, which is our outer gear, pulled down over the boots. So when you get a call at night or anytime, you just step into your boots, pull up your pants, so it's really quick.
So there's a whole system for this, I gather. Now, who does the cooking when you're at a fire? Is there one person designated, or they hire a chef, or what?
Oh, no. We do, and that's one thing people don't understand. Firefighters do everything at the station. They share in the cooking. Usually the person who has the person that cooks the best is the one that ends up gets to cook a lot.
That's good.
But they pitch in, like they'll say, okay, bring something next shift, or, you bring this next shift. So it kind of pitched in, and we all ate together. Sometimes, if you're sent out to different stations, you bring your own stuff, but usually they all cooked it together.
I can just picture the first day, or let's say the first month that you became this firefighter in that station. Boy, if you could have just videotaped that, people would not believe it.
Oh, no. There's not even the first month. There was just so much stuff that happened over the years. It was just totally ridiculous, for even a person to act, against another person, much less, a man against a woman. It's just some of the stuff is just ridiculous.
And you said something before about the wives and the girlfriends. How did you find out about that?
Oh yeah, I had problems with some of the men's wives. They did not want me there at all, and I'd either have their wives would either be calling all the time, or they would be stopping by to bring them food and hugging and kissing all over their husbands.
Oh, my goodness.
Kind of like showing, this is my man. Like, okay, I don't want him.
I love it. Now, tell me, the oldest, how do you have to retire as a firefighter at a certain age?
I think there is a certain age, but usually it's like when I was in the department, it was 25 years. So if I had stayed in, I would have been retired at 45. 48. I'm sorry, 48.
And you didn't. Let's talk about why you did leave. I didn't get into your having children and all that, but you want to discuss some of that?
Sure. Of all things, I got into a car accident 2 blocks from my house. I got hit by a young kid who was trying to pass me as I was making a left turn, and he was driving like about 55 miles an hour. Our cars collided twice. I had my two youngest kids in the car with me, and we ended up in the ditch. And because of that accident, I had to have a disc removed out of my lower back because I was driving a standard car, and I had my foot on the clutch and the brake, and it just totally tore my disc in 2 places. So that ended my career as a firefighter.
I see, and I guess that ends careers for a lot of people when things like that happen. But it sounds like you did have a wonderful career, and now I'm very interested that you have your own medical billing company. And I don't want to not forget that you have a very close friend who's a freelance writer, Darcy Duransu, who helped you write the book.
Yes, she was very, very good at this. And my editor, Cliff Carl, he was also good at sending me back my manuscript with lots of red ink on it.
Red ink like fire, right? Well, I have to say, Karen, it was wonderful talking with you. It was a very unusual interview for me. I love talking to women who are cutting edge, and you certainly did it, and I wish you so much luck. And let me just tell everyone again, this is a fun book. Well, it's a serious book, but it's something you'll really enjoy, especially women who have had some problems with men in their workplace. This will really show you what a good woman can do. Karen Moulder, author of Burning Barriers, How One Woman Defied the Odds and Became the First Female Firefighter in Her City. And you can order her book by going to authorhouse.com or amazon.com. And we really do thank you, Karen. We wish you a lot of luck, and probably you'll write another book because it sounds like you're going to do something unusual. It seems like that's in your genome.
Probably.
So thanks
so much.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back next